At an outdoor work site, a lifting operation was underway using a lifter positioned on the right side. The equipment was in the process of lifting a heavy machine located on the left side. During this critical lift, a worker attempted to walk through the gap between the lifter and the machine being hoisted. As he passed through this danger zone, the lifting arm on the right side suddenly collapsed and fell directly onto the worker below, striking him with significant force, resulting in what could have been a fatal crushing death. The worker had positioned himself in one of the most dangerous locations possible during an active lifting operation, directly in the path where equipment failure would cause maximum harm. This incident demonstrates a fundamental breakdown in lift safety protocols. The area beneath and around active lifting operations should always be treated as an exclusion zone. When heavy machinery is suspended or being maneuvered, workers must maintain a safe distance from the entire operational radius. At a material storage yard, a loaded dump truck was maneuvering in an open area. A woman began walking behind the truck, apparently unaware of the vehicle's intended path. As she passed behind it, the truck driver suddenly shifted into reverse without adequate warning or checking for pedestrians in the blind zone. The massive vehicle backed up and struck the woman, and the rear wheels rolled over her, causing her to fall beneath the truck. Bystanders immediately recognized the danger and attempted to alert the driver by shouting and gesturing frantically. However, their warnings came too late to prevent the initial impact. Tragically, the driver continued the reversing maneuver, unaware of what had occurred. After moving forward briefly, the truck reversed again, and the woman was crushed a second time under the heavy wheels. Despite the desperate attempts of nearby workers to stop the driver during the first collision, the lack of direct communication and poor visibility from the cab prevented timely intervention. This devastating incident exposes critical gaps in vehicle safety protocols at work sites. Inside an industrial facility, a female worker was operating a large hydraulic pressing machine used for processing materials. During her work cycle, the woman entered the compression area of machine, likely to adjust materials. While she was still inside the danger zone, the machine's hydraulic press suddenly activated. The massive press descended onto the worker, trapping her body completely. Although the compression appeared gradual rather than a sudden slam, the worker was completely unable to escape once the cycle initiated. No worker should ever enter a press chamber without first ensuring the machine is completely de-energized, locked out, and physically blocked from closing. Look at this woman on scooty passing the road. The road was relatively clear with moderate vehicle movement in both directions. As she traveled forward, a car approaching from front at excessive speed failed to slow down. The vehicle struck the scooter with tremendous force, launching the woman off her bike and sending her body airborne across several lanes of traffic. The impact was so severe that the rider was thrown a considerable distance from the point of collision, tumbling through the air before landing hard on the pavement. This incident demonstrates the deadly consequences of excessive speed and inattentive driving in shared traffic environments. The car driver either failed to see the scooter ahead or was traveling too fast to react and brake in time. 2. Wheeled vehicles like scooters and motorcycles are particularly vulnerable in traffic because of their smaller profile and lack of protective structure. 3 young people on a scooter noticed a kite tangled in overhead electrical wires. Attempting to retrieve it, one person stood up on the scooter while holding a long stick, trying to reach the kite caught in the upper wires. As he extended the stick upward, his hand made contact with a lower hanging electrical wire. Instantly, high-voltage electricity coursed through his body and traveled down through the metal scooter frame, electrocuting all 3 individuals simultaneously. All 3 collapsed onto the ground near the scooter. The severity of electrical injuries from overhead power lines can range from severe burns and cardiac arrest to instant death, depending on voltage and duration of contact. Even brief contact with high-voltage wires delivers enough energy to stop the heart or cause permanent neurological damage. At a circus performance, a large group of spectators had gathered around a cage containing multiple lions for an animal show. The audience stood close to the protective barriers, watching the big cats move about inside the enclosure. One man positioned himself particularly close to the cage bars, either unaware of the danger or underestimating the reach and speed of the animals inside. Without warning, a white lion lunged at the barrier, catching hold of the man's arm. Despite desperate efforts by the man and those around him to free his arm, the lion's grip was unyielding. The attack resulted in catastrophic injury, with the man losing his arm in the incident. The strength of a lion's bite can crush bone and cause massive bleeding within seconds. What began as entertainment ended in permanent disfigurement and trauma for the victim. This horrifying incident exposes critical failures in crowd control and safety barrier design at animal exhibition venues. Wild animals, even those used in performances, retain their predatory instincts and can strike without provocation or warning. Inside a manufacturing facility, workers were operating around hydraulic pressing machines during what appeared to be a normal production shift. One worker reached into an active pressing machine while it was still in operation, attempting to retrieve a finished part during the cycle. As his hand entered the danger zone, the press continued its programmed sequence and the upper ram descended, trapping and crushing his hand between the dies with thousands of pounds of hydraulic force. The worker was unable to withdraw his hand in time once the machine began its stroke. Hydraulic presses operate with immense pressure designed to shape metal and other hard materials, and human tissue offers virtually no resistance to such forces. This incident represents a fundamental violation of machine safety principles that exists in far too many manufacturing environments. At an automotive repair shop, two vehicles were parked closely together in a congested work area. A mechanic began performing welding work on a vehicle's fuel tank without taking proper safety precautions. As the worker applied heat to the metal surface, flammable fuel vapors that had accumulated inside or around the tank ignited instantly. The resulting explosion erupted in a massive fireball. The blast created an intense wave of heat and fire that spread rapidly through the confined space, threatening everyone in the vicinity. Workers nearby were exposed to severe burn risks and structural damage to the shop. This catastrophic incident highlights one of the most dangerous mistakes that can occur in automotive repair environments. Fuel tanks, even when drained, retain vapors that are highly explosive and far more dangerous than liquid fuel itself. On a road, a motorcyclist was in his lane waiting in a still position. From behind, a large truck at a significantly higher speed hit the motorcyclist, crushing the rider beneath its mass. The impact was catastrophic, with the weight and momentum of the truck leaving the motorcyclist with virtually no chance of survival. The rider was trapped and dragged under the vehicle, suffering unsurvivable crushing injuries. Such collisions between heavy vehicles and motorcycles are among the most deadly types of road accidents due to the extreme disparity in size and protective structure. At an industrial facility, a fire broke out and quickly spread, trapping a worker on the roof as thick black smoke engulfed the building. With flames cutting off all escape routes, the desperate worker attempted to jump from the 3-story height. Coworkers below stretched out atop to catch him, but he missed the center and struck the edge, falling directly onto the concrete ground with devastating force. This tragedy highlights critical failures in fire safety preparedness. The facility lacked adequate emergency exits, fire suppression systems, and professional rescue equipment. While the improvised rescue attempt was well-intentioned, a simple tarp cannot safely catch someone falling from such height. At an evening outdoor event, a fire breather was performing on a tiled patio. As he executed his stunt by expelling flammable liquid across a torch, something went catastrophically wrong. The flames erupted back toward him instead of projecting safely away, igniting the fuel in his mouth and on his face.